Yeah, Mamelodi Sundowns 3-1 winners over Lupopo. I think everybody in South Africa was pleased that Lupopo, the team that knocked Pirates out, were put in their place by the great Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah, Project. I love the poster of one of the supporters at Loftus Versfeld. It said, Friends of Sundowns for 90 minutes. And he was a Pirate supporter. And I think that sums up beautifully
Yeah.
the attitude of South Africans. Well, the star of the show was Nuno Santos, the recent signing of Sundowns from Portugal. He scored the first and third goals for Sundowns in
Yeah.
the 3-1 victory. And also he created the second goal for Allende, the Chilean. So quite an international flavour. And by all accounts, Sundowns
Yeah.
were not at their brilliant best, but nevertheless they were quite on top of the situation. And Limpopo now two visits to South Africa, and on each occasion they've conceded 3 goals.
So it's a good start for Sundowns. I mean, last year we remember they had a slow, stuttering start to the group stages. This should put them in good state. They top of the table because of goal difference over Al Hilal. Um, just in general, when you start as well as they
Yeah,
did, it gives you the confidence going forward to the remaining matches, doesn't it?
exactly, yeah. And Rajesh Al Hilal, and in fact, in many respects, was the story of the weekend. They beat Mamelodi Alger, the team of our dear friend Mr. Congratulations, by 2 goals to 1. But the real drama there came after the final whistle when one of the Hilal players went over to the Mamelodi dugout, flung a water bottle at the Algerians, and the next thing, he raced away with a number of Algerians in his hot pursuit. And the police had to intervene to
Yeah.
save him. It's a player called Jean-Claude Guruma Gisha. He's from Burundi, but he's been with Al Hilal for a number of years. And the next thing, we had a mini riot. Lots of people on the pitch. And the scene was basically disgraceful to African football. Now, you'll remember in our build-up on the Brad Jake show, we were worried about the turnout in Kigali, and that's because Hilal are now based in Rwanda due to the civil war. Well, there actually was a surprisingly good turnout, but unfortunately it backfired in a way because of this incident. CAF are investigating, and I think Guru Gisha, from what I saw on video, he's going to be on the sidelines for some time to come. Very, very stupid act.
Yeah, no,
And it needs to be
especially because they had won. I mean, there was no need for that kind of behavior. But yeah, let's hope Kev put him in his place. And yeah, but I mean, MC Alger,
Yeah,
I mean, their
you
first
make such
loss under Rhulani
a
Mokwena, he
good
took it
point.
on
I
the
mean,
chin
normally
because he was
it's
saying, look, these things
losers.
happen in football.
Well, he was quite philosophical about it. He's now looking forward, of course, to Friday. And the interesting news about Friday's match against Sundowns in Algiers is all 45,000 tickets were sold out within 2 hours. That just shows you the interest in this match. That's going to be a huge game. Mamelodi dare not lose again. If they lost at home, their hopes could well be very slender with just 2 rounds gone.
Yeah, no. They look, and it's a grudge match of sorts. Yes, Rhulani has played it down. He's saying it's not about. Even I heard Cardosso saying it's not about Sundowns against their former coach, but that factor will always be part of the match. And yeah, it's the Algerians will definitely be cheering their team on, making sure that Sundowns feel the pressure of playing away. But based on what you saw of both teams, what do you think will happen?
Well, Rajesh, the one result I'm fairly confident about is Sundowns will not win. I don't see them. I know Pirates won it at Mamelodi in the quarterfinals last season. I'm not sure Sundowns can pull it off. I think Sundowns will be very happy off the record, of course, because they won't admit it publicly. They'll be happy projects to come away with a draw. For Mamelodi, really now, it's a must-win because they've already dropped 3 potential points. I think they would have gone to Kigali believing that they would not lose to Hilal, but they did. It was our dear friend Abdul Rahman He seems to have been around forever. He scored the winner after 75 minutes. So good start for Hilal, and Mamelodi are now immediately under some pressure, as you said.
Yes. Yeah. And then in the other groups,
I think
just talk us through. I know.
Rhulani is, yeah, I think he's, as you said, I watched his post-match comments, and he's very diplomatic. But believe you me, he will give anything and everything to beat Sundowns. There's no love lost there, and that's not just human nature.
And then,
so now, yes, we can look at the other groups. If we start at Group A, very predictable here, Brad Jake. Renaissance Berkane 3, Power Dynamos of Zambia 0, and Pyramids. We know them very well. What they did last year, beating Pirates and Sundowns. Same score line. They beat Rivers United of Nigeria 3-0. Now, the interesting fact about Pyramids' victory was Ahmed Atef. He scored a hat-trick. Now, in last season's campaign, Pyramids played 16 matches, and Atef only scored 1 goal. You remember, Mayele was the top figure. He scored 9 goals. And now, this season, Atef has already scored 4 goals. So he's very much on fire. So a pretty predictable start in Group A. Berkane and Pyramids both with 3 points each. Group B, Al Ahly, surprisingly doing so well. They normally struggle a bit in the group stages, and then they really catch up when it comes to the knockout stages. So they hammered JS Kabylie of Algeria 4-1, and 2 of their goals came from Trezeguet, the former Aston Villa striker. And then on what was a pretty disappointing weekend for Tanzania, the one exception was Young Africans. They beat FAR Rabat of Morocco 1-0. And well done to Prince Dube, a Zimbabwean. He was the match winner. But, Brad Jake, there was a disgraceful scene in this match as well. Here we're talking about officiating. FAR had a very clearly onside goal, disallowed offside. I've seen the video of it. I've watched it repeatedly. And how the linesman, or assistant referee as they now call them, came to the conclusion that one of the Moroccans was offside is, unless I have to go to an optician, otherwise it's definitely the Moroccan was onside. And FAR Rabat was furious, but the result stands. It's 1-0.
But also, I mean, we did say that in this stage there's no VAR, is there? There currently is no use of VAR.
That's right, Patrick. This is, VAR is not allowed in the group stages. And the reason for that is apparently some of the stadiums just don't have the facilities to do it. So I suppose CAF are correct in the sense you can't have VAR in some matches and not in others. But if you of this, it's just an unbelievable decision. And FAR Rabat are justifiably furious at this decision because they claim it robbed them of a precious away point. And then if we go to Group D, you'll notice so far all I'm talking about are home wins. But in Group D, we had a couple of surprises. The only away winners in the first round were Petro Luanda of Angola. They went to Simba, Tanzania, and won 1-0. A Portuguese player by the name of Benny, not Benny McCarthy, another Benny. He scored after 78 minutes, so that's a real setback for Simba. And perhaps, although it was a draw 0-0, to me, the real shock of the weekend was Esperance of Tunisia being held 0-0 at home by Stade Malien of Mali. Now, Esperance,
I saw that.
The figures are just astounding. Esperance had 24 goal attempts, but just three out of 24 were on target. And I think that tells you everything about why Esperance were not able to win. So now, in the coming weekend, we've got Petro at home to Esperance. And to me, along with Mamelodi against Sundowns, these are the two huge clashes in match day 2.
Big matches, Okay. No, that's fascinating. I mean, if Pedro do win there, they beat Esperance, then they are in the pound seats. Okay, that's a fascinating start to the Champions League, and they're all playing this coming weekend. All the matches are coming this weekend.
Rajesh, match day 2. Unfortunately, then the African Nations Cup intervenes because the third round will only be at the end of January. But just, we look at them in greater detail, obviously, later in the week. But just to quickly let our listeners know who's facing who. Group A, you've got Rivers against Berkane, and you've got Power against Pyramid. So Zambia are going to welcome the defending champions. Group B, you've got Far against Athley and Cavalier against Young Africans. Group C, one of the huge ones, Mamelodi against Sundowns. And then Lupopo will be at home to Hilal. And then in Group D, to me, the other blockbuster, Petro against Esperance and Malian against Simba. Now, if Petro beat Esperance, and let's say Mali beats Simba, Esperance could be they won't be out of contention, but they'll certainly be in a bit of trouble.
Now, let's move to the CAF Confederation Cup. I mean, just yesterday I went to watch Stellenbosch FC playing against Otoho. I mean, it was a match that honestly looked like it had goalless draw written all over it. No people in the stadium, very few. But Ashley Cupido comes off the bench and scores. I mean, the fourth official had already raised the board for added time, but they scored. And Steve Barker, I mean, his smile was so huge because to win it the way they did, it's you stole the game really, but they all count.
Any truth in the rumours that after the match, you immediately went to the Polokwane Central Police Station and you lodged a stolen property claim? The stolen property was about taking those 3 points.
Yeah, no.
Any truth, Rajesh?
I mean, the police were like, yeah, no, that's theft. But the Otoho coach was very disappointed. Said it's very, very sad to lose the way we did, but that's football. Until the final whistle goes, you keep playing. It's never over, and Stellis just showed that.
Yeah, and I mean, Otoho actually came closest to scoring just on the just before the break, just before half time. Diado. I was sure he was a West African, judging from his main name, but in fact, I checked, and he is like a native of Congo, Brazzaville. He rattled the crossbar from a free kick, and it always struck me, Brad, as a game where the first goal, if there was going to be a goal, was going to decide it. It wasn't the greatest of games, and unfortunately, what we feared in the build-up, a virtually empty stadium, came to pass. You know, I checked, it's almost 1,700 kilometers from Stellenbosch to Polokwane. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's crazy. It's stupid. I hope something can be done. I mean, this is the club of the Cape Wineland, and that's where they should be playing their matches, not in the north of the country.
Look, they don't have the stadiums and all that. The 3 stadiums were all not available.
Yeah, but you know, this is happening too often with the Cape Town Stadium. You know, let's go back, Rajesh, about 15 years. That stadium was built for football. Sepp Blatter wanted a picturesque stadium with Table Mountain in the background for the 2010 World Cup. And we all had a sigh of relief. We said, finally, Cape Town has got its football home. But it seems now like rugby, no disrespect to the sport, but it is a fact. They seem to have just taken over the stadium. And I mean, last year, Stellenbosch, they had to play in Durban, they had to play in Pretoria, and they also played 1 or 2 games in Cape Town. And now it looks like it's exactly the same situation. But as you said, it was a fortunate victory. It's not beat about the bush. Stellenbosch are still batting up front. And, you know, with the money they made from the Confederation Cup, getting to the semi-finals last year, I thought they would splash out on a couple of players. The thing is, they've been selling, Jake, some of their best players. And in return, there's nothing strong coming in. And, okay, they're away to Singida Black Stars in their second match this coming weekend in Tanzania. And a draw will keep them on course. As Stevie Barker told you, a win is a win. And I like his line about the fact that the 3rd minute of added time is a good time to take the lead, because then you don't have to defend for very long.
Yeah. Yes, I know. For too long. That's true. Yeah. No, and they didn't have to, because the moment after the restart, the match was over. So, but you speak of, I've seen that Jaden Adams, their former player, has now been placed on transfer at Sundown somewhat. So who knows? Maybe he might go back. He's not a striker, but he could score a few goals. Maybe if he goes back, there might be some changes there.
Yeah, and I mean Bassadine, I hardly see him playing for Sundown. They left a very
Sundowns, yeah,
polished left back. We had the
yeah.
Freer, of course, who went to G, and we've had Reynolds. Well, Reynolds, of course, had two spells with them, but they need a Reynolds-like figure. And I think they could have a good run. But nevertheless, as they made that long trip back, projects they travelled by road from Polokwane to Johannesburg, and then obviously flew to Cape Town. And then, of course, that's not the end, because then they've got another 60-kilometre drive back to Stellenbosch. So
No,
it's a rather odd way to be playing at home, isn't it?
no, actually, no, actually, what's happening with them is from Polokwane yesterday, they went to Joburg, but they are staying over because they are playing in Rustenburg on, is it Wednesday? And then they go to Zanzibar. So Steve Barker was saying, "Oh, I'm living in a suitcase for this coming week." So they are not going back to Stellis
Yeah.
yet. They are going to play
Oh,
Orbit
yeah. No,
College
I was
midweek
referring
and
actually
then
to
fly to.
a normal situation. Yeah, they're playing Orbit College, of course, on Wednesday,
Oh,
and then
yes,
their
yes.
match against
Yeah,
Gita Black
yeah.
Stars is on Sunday. Now, talking of St. Gita Black Stars, they had a good record in qualifying, but they came up short against Jabab Belouizdad in Algeria. They lost 2-0, and of course, one of our very favourite coaches, Ziad Ramovic, he's the coach of Jabab Belouizdad. Who of course come up against Stevie Barker later in the competition. So for the moment, Belouizdad are ahead of
Yeah,
Stellenbosch on goal difference. Both have got 3
goal
points.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the great Amakosi started shakily. I mean, I watched the match last night, equalized, and then the a comedy of errors really for the second goal that they conceded to lose that match.
Now, Project, I worry sometimes about this signing from Angola, Miguel. He's also got disciplinary problems. And last night he had
Yeah.
what in golf they call a fresh air shot. I mean, he just needed to
Oh, I
have,
saw that.
the ball dropped loose in the goal net from the corner, and he completely missed the ball. And of course, the Al Masri centre
Yeah.
back who had come up for the corner, he said, "Thank you very much," and potted the ball into the net. I felt for Chiefs because I think a draw would not have been an unfair result. And what was quite nice is their attitude in the game. Because in the past, Chiefs seemed to have a very mixed feelings about playing in Africa. Sometimes it seemed to me they weren't that particularly keen on going far in some of the competition. But last night I saw a real determination, a very good one. It's also a fair one. I think the replay that Peterson fouled Hamada. But if one team is going to win, it was always going to be Madrid. But
Yes.
I think Chiefs will feel a little justifiably disappointed that they couldn't get a draw. And what that does now, Roger, is because it puts a lot of pressure on them for their visit to Polokwane to face the Malik on Saturday. Now, the Malik beat Tesco United 1-0. Quite a close match. I thought maybe the Malik would win by a wider margin. So the two Egyptian clubs both winning at home, but narrow win, Masri 2-1 and Zamalek 1-0. So now it's up to Tesco and Chiefs to win their home matches this coming weekend, and then everything will be all squared again. If we go on to Group B, Maniema Union of DR Congo, they beat Assam of Tanzania 2-0. So not a great weekend for the Tanzanians. 3 losses out of 4. Assam had a 100% record in qualifying, winning all 4 matches, but they came up short. And then Wydad Casablanca, they beat Nairobi United of Kenya 3-0. And our very own Temple he had an assist for the first goal. Wydad were well on top, Jake. They scored after only 3 minutes. That's the last thing you want to do is concede a North African goal. There were 2 goals up at halftime, and then they got a very third goal, so they're off to a good start. They're ahead of Maniema Union now on goal difference. We've spoken about Group C. We've mentioned Group D, which is the one with Chiefs. And then finally, Group A, the only away victors were Safi of Morocco. They won 1-0 at Jaliba of Mali. And USM Alger of Algeria, former winners of the competition, they beat San Pedro of Ivory Coast 3-2. Now, Rajesh, 7 of the 8 matches were won by the home team. The only away winners were Safi of Morocco. And in the Champions League, it was 6 home wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. So 13 of the 16 home teams in the 2 competitions won. And that shows you just how important home advantage is.
Yes. No, it really is. Look, I mean, we'll see. Chiefs, as we say, they're coming this side to Polokwane to play against Zamalek. I think it's a match, unlike the Stelis match, this one, you bet the stadium will probably be filled to capacity. So let's see if Chiefs can take advantage of that. Now, moving away from the continental competitions, you and I have been speaking a lot about the situation in Zimbabwe, where efforts were being made to save the mighty Dynamos from getting relegated. They played their last match of the season this weekend. How did that go?
Yeah, Project, they were held to a 0-0 draw at home by Platinum, the Harare Glamour boys, but they're safe. They finished 13th out of 18 with 39 points. The teams that were relegated were Green Fuel. They had 2 points less than Dynamos, 37. Bikita Minerals, also 37 points. Yada with 35. And then, astonishingly, Kwekwe United with just 10 points. Now, how about this, Project? Kwekwe played 34 games. They won just 1. And they scored 15 goals in those 34 matches. And they conceded a staggering 79 goals. And that just brings back the point I was making on your show last week, that this league is, even at 18 cups, Project, is too big. And it was utter and complete madness. But Dynamo's a close shave, but they finished 2 points above them.
So chances of that change happening are slim and none, and Slim has just left town, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. They never admitted it publicly, Project, but this crazy idea of stretching the league from 18 clubs to 22, everybody in Zimbabwe is all about the fear that Dynamo might be relegated. At the other end of the table, congratulations to Scotland, that's Scotland, not the country above England, Scotland. It's owned by ZANU-PF parliamentarian. They're the champions for the first time, 69 points. MWOS were runners-up with 62. And Simba Bora, that's the team of Kama Biliak. They're defending champions. They had to settle for 3rd place with 61 points. Okay. Well done to Scotland. They will compete in the next CAF Champions League. And some of the names that I remember from my time up there in Zimbabwe, Project, like Cap United and Highlanders, these teams are back a bit. Caps finished 9th, and Highlanders, the big team from Bulawayo, they finished 11th, but no relegation fears.
Well, that's fascinating. Yeah, let's see how they do. But as you say, I don't think they will change the league now.
I don't even think madness is strong enough a word for this project. I mean, even the top leagues in Europe, La Liga and the Premier League in England, they've only got 20 clubs. And Zimbabwe probably, really, ideally, should have maybe 12 or 14 clubs. It's just crazy.
Yeah. At home, and a few matches were played. I think the one match that stood out for me, I actually watched it, Sekhukhune United playing against Marumo Gallants 1-1. Eric Tinkler started the season very well, top of the table, but they just cannot get wins now. What's happening?
Yeah, Roger, it's a good point you raised. Suddenly, Sekhukhune cannot buy a win, to use that cliche. They've now gone 5 matches without a victory. They've drawn 3 and lost 2. They're still 3rd in the table, but they could have had an advantage by now. They could have been at the top of the table with some other clubs involved in African competition. And they even took the lead against Marumo. But have you noticed Marumo, Braje? They're the draw specialists. They and Richards Bay have drawn 5 matches each. So they're the clubs that have drawn the most matches. And Marumo keep coming back. To go back to the awards, the equaliser for Marumo at the weekend was in Blondbo. And what struck me last week is he didn't win in the CAF Awards now I'm referring to. He did not win the goal of the season, but I thought his great goal for South Africa against Uganda in the Chan, I definitely would have voted for that.
Yes.
A brilliant goal.
For that one, yeah.
Was won by Eze from Young Africans. So, Marumo, another draw. They're, of course, building up, Rajesh. Hey, it's all happening in Polokwane on the 6th of December. They've got the small matter of the Carling final against the mighty
Orlando Pirates.
Who I think are about to lose.
No, I was just saying, and in Ndlodlo being in such great form, he's going to be playing against his former club, Orlando Pirates. There's bound to be fireworks there.
Yeah. They say dynamite comes in, small parcels, and he's definitely. I'm amazed actually he hasn't made a more significant impact on football in South Africa, because he always impresses me. He plays with his heart on his sleeve.
No, he's one of those who gives
the other
his
side
all.
that we were saying that are drawing
do you think
a lot of matches of Richards Bay.
And they drew again.
Yeah, against
they played
City, of course, out of Carling. nil draw there, and then nice to see TS Galaxy. They're back on. They've got their 4th straight home win. They beat Golden Arrows 2-1. One of the goals came from an Ivorian import, Maury Keita. Arrows only seemed to wake up really when they were 2 goals behind, and then Keenan Phillips scored quite a good goal, but it was too little, too late. And then Amazulu back on the winning trail at home. They beat Suwele 2-0, and for the visitors, that was the end of a 4-match unbeaten run. So Amazulu up to 5th place. The interesting thing, Jakes, about the Premiership, Pirates have a chance now to go top of the table this week. They're at home to Chipper United on Tuesday, and they're away to Durban City on Saturday. That's going to be quite a tough one for them. But if they can get 4 points from those 2 matches, they will go above Sundowns. Remember, Sundowns, no Premiership action this week because they're traveling to Algeria to face Mamelodi. Yeah. And Pirates, of course, 3 points behind Sundowns at the moment, but with 2 games in hand. So opportunity knocks to them this week. You would certainly fancy them at home to bottom plus Chipper at Orlando Stadium. And as I said, 4 points. If they get 4 points, 6 would be ideal for them, of course, but 4 points will take them to the top of the table. Yeah,
let's see how it goes. I mean, that's an opportunity, because if they do that, then they put some pressure on Sundowns, whose focus, of course, will be on the Champions League. And we are going to be closing the league. How grand it would be for Pirates if we closed the year with them being top of the table. I mean, they'd love that, no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay. Comrade, thank you so much. We will talk again during the week to look ahead to the match day 2 of the Interclub Continental competitions.
Yeah, Mokwena versus Cardoss project. It can hardly wait. 9 o'clock on Friday night. Fasten your seatbelts.
Yeah. Now we'll definitely be watching. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's Inside SA Soccer with me, Brad Jakes, and Comrade Gumbu, talking African football. Let's meet again in the next show.